Sometimes the person who changes your entire future isn't a mentor, a celebrity, or a motivational speaker. Sometimes it's a stranger you meet on an ordinary day. This is the story of how a taxi driver changed a young woman's life forever. It was a cold, rainy morning in New York City when Emily Parker, a 25-year-old design student, rushed out of her tiny apartment in Brooklyn. Her umbrella flipped inside out. Her hair was soaked, and her laptop bag felt heavier than ever. Today wasn't just another day. It was the most important day of her life. She had her final portfolio presentation, the one that could give her a dream internship at a top design agency in Manhattan. As she ran to the street, her phone buzzed. "Professor Adams, if you're not here in 20 minutes, I'll have to mark you absent." Emily felt her stomach twist. She opened her ride app. No drivers available. She tried again. Still nothing. The rain kept pouring, and Emily could barely see the road. She felt the pressure building in her chest. Just when she was about to lose hope, a yellow taxi pulled up slowly beside her. The window slid down, and a man with gentle eyes and gray hair leaned out. "Miss, you need a ride?" Emily sighed in relief. "Yes, Midtown, please. I'm running so late." The driver nodded kindly. "Hop in. I'll get you there." Inside the taxi was warm, smelling faintly of peppermint and coffee. The driver glanced at her through the mirror. "Rough morning?" Emily exhaled shakily. "Honestly, rough life." He chuckled softly. "I hear that a lot in this cab." For a few minutes, neither of them spoke. Emily watched the clock on her phone. Time was flying. Traffic was crawling. A long line of cars stretched in front of them. Emily clenched her hands. "I'm going to miss my presentation. This is my whole future." The driver asked gently, "Why do you believe this is your only chance?" "Because I'm not like others," Emily whispered. "I'm not naturally talented. I'm not confident. And I'm definitely not lucky." The driver shook his head with a sad smile. "Open the glove compartment." Emily opened it and found an old photograph. A young man standing next to a brand new taxi, smiling proudly. She looked at the driver. "Is that you?" He nodded slowly. "My name's John Miller," he began. "I grew up in a small town in Ohio. I wanted to become a mechanical engineer. I worked in construction during summers, saved every dollar, and studied whenever I could." Emily listened carefully. John continued, "But life had different plans. My dad got sick, and I had to drop out of college. The money I saved went into his hospital bills." Emily's heart softened. "I moved to New York hoping things would get better, but I ended up driving a taxi to survive," he said. "I thought my life was over, that I'd failed my dreams." He paused as the taxi slowed behind more traffic. "But then something changed, and," he added, "my younger sister got accepted to college. She wanted to study engineering just like me." Emily's eyes widened. "What happened?" John smiled proudly. "I worked double shifts, day and night. I slept in this taxi sometimes, but I paid her tuition." His voice softened. "Today, she works at an engineering firm in San Francisco, living the dream I once had." Emily felt her eyes sting. "So you gave up everything?" she whispered. John shook his head. "No, Emily. I learned that life doesn't always give you what you want, but it always gives you what you need to grow." He glanced at her through the mirror. "Sometimes your purpose isn't to win your own dream. Sometimes it's to help someone else win theirs." Emily looked down at her trembling hands. "How do you stay so hopeful, she asked. John chuckled. "Because you're judging yourself too early." She looked up. He continued, "You're only 25, Emily. You can't judge your whole life by the mistakes you make today. You're not unlucky. You're just early in your story." Emily felt something shift inside her, a warm spark she hadn't felt in months. John added gently, "If you fail today, you try again tomorrow. Your only competition is who you were yesterday." They reached close to the campus, but the road was blocked due to construction. Emily panicked. "Oh no, 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 what do I do?" John pulled over, pointed to a narrow walkway. "If you run through that alley, you'll get there faster on foot. Go." Emily grabbed her bag but paused. John gave her his last piece of advice, the one she would remember forever. "Your life won't change in one big moment, Emily. It changes in small moments, when you decide not to give up." Emily nodded, holding back tears. She ran through the alley, splashing through puddles, her heart pounding. She made it to the classroom door 30 seconds before it closed, and she delivered the best presentation of her life. Epilogue. 3 years later. Emily got the internship, then a job, then her dream role as a full-time designer in Manhattan. But she never forgot the taxi driver who believed in her more than she believed in herself. One evening, after work, she tracked down John's taxi license number and finally found him parked outside a diner. When he saw her, he smiled warmly. Emily handed him a small gift, a beautifully designed book, telling his story through illustrations and words. On the last page, she wrote, "Thank you for changing my life. Your kindness became my turning point." John wiped his eyes and whispered, "Maybe helping you was my purpose all along." Remember, the people you meet for a few minutes can leave lessons that last a lifetime. Be kind, be patient, because you might be the reason someone doesn't give up today.